figured this would be a really good thing to do to get an idea of what goes on behind the scenes in the world of rescue. And we are with little Blackie. So let's start by opening little Blackie's door. Now, little Blackie, whoops, I have the twist tie turned the wrong way. So this is a really old cage, and the actual, there were some sort of a bungee cord thing set up that was hooked onto this originally, but it is long since gone. There was also a really nice little shelf that I plan on putting back up that the kitties love to sit on. Anyway, so let's get to little Blackie. And I'm not going to be able to answer your questions because I can't see the screen. I had a really hard time doing a live on my personal Facebook page with the kitten because it's super hard to hold a phone, and that's my setup. So what we have here is an adorable kitten who is sick. Little Blackie is about 7 months old. Now the situation here is that she showed up at a colony that I care for with feral cats when she was about 3.5 months old. I'm going to put this on my lap here because little Blackie is sick, and that is why I'm wearing gloves. Because, oh, come on, sweetie. Come on, sweetheart. Come on. So we're going to give little Blackie her medicine first. She showed up at a colony when she was about 3 months ago, and maybe, so I think she's about 7 months old. She was about maybe 4 months when she showed up. And she was really feral, at least she seemed to be. She wouldn't let us go near her. And anyway, I was planning on TNRing her. That would be trap, neuter, return. So it's what you do with feral kitties. If they can't be tamed and they can't get homes, the best way to deal with a situation that is kind and takes, good care of them and will help them live out their lives is to get them spayed or neutered and vaccinated, and then return them to the place that they're living, because that is their home, and they're not going to socialize up in all probability and be able to become pets. And so, and with kittens, even with kittens, it can be difficult. She's sneezing. After about, I say 6-7 weeks, maybe 2 months max, that's pretty much about the easiest time to socialize a kitten. After that, of course, they can be, and it varies from kitten to kitten because some of them are just much easier than others, and some really have the propensity towards being a feral cat, and it can be a really difficult situation. In my early days of doing TNR, I actually tried to socialize and did an extremely poor job of some older kittens, and was actually told by a rescue I did a crummy job of socializing, which I did. And I thought if I could pet them, that was good enough, but that isn't good enough for them to actually get a home. So in a case where you've got an older kitten who's pretty feral, really the best thing to do is to probably just trap them, get them spayed or neutered, vaccinated naturally, and especially for rabies, and return them to their colony and let them live out their lives, and they won't be breeding, they'd be happy, that's their home. Now, I'm going to give little Blackie here some medicine. So this kitty has a URI. Here, sweetie. This kitty, she's so good. Now, I really thought this was a feral kitten. I really did. I have dealt with lots and lots of feral kittens. As you can see, she's absolutely not feral. And I've dealt with lots of them, and I've trapped some, attempted to socialize and done a terrible job, done a decent job, got them to rescue, got them adopted, and trapped and neutered and returned them. So it's sort of run the gamut. And, you know, this one, honestly, I thought this was a feral. I was absolutely wrong. She got sick a little before Christmas, and I started her on some medicine at the colony. I had been working with her at the colony. Now, in all fairness, myself and another caregiver, we had been petting her and attempting to socialize her somewhat. So every day at feeding, she would be the first one over, along with a sort of friendly stray that actually was my first TNR cat ever. She's about 11 years old now. And I would just pet this one every single day. Well, she started getting really sick. It was getting cold. It was starting to rain. and she was sounding extremely congested, and I was honestly really worried about her health. So I decided the day after Christmas, I trapped her and brought her home and put her in this cage in the garage. And there is a heating pad under there that is made for usage with animals, and because it is cold in the garage, but I can't risk putting her in the house with my cats because she is sick, and I don't know what she has. So what we do have here, though, is you can see she is anything but feral. So I'm so glad that I brought her home. I was going to TNR her, but obviously to do that would be really criminal. This is the sweetest kitten. And she's been at the colony for about 3 months now. This is just a soft t-shirt that I did put warm water on, although honestly it's cooled off a lot. And I'm just going to try to clean up her eyes a little bit. They're really goopy. They've been runny. Even though she is on oral antibiotics at this time, um, I am I did start her on some eye antibiotics, terramycin, because I'm honestly extremely concerned about her eyes. It looks like she has a little conjunctivitis. There's some red inside there. And I really don't. I just want to get her well. She's a very, very sweet girl. She's sneezing a little, so it does make me think that even though she's been on the Clavamox for a while, that she may actually have a virus as well. I think it was a double thing. I really do. She was very, very congested though, and the Clavamox really kicked that in because it was a deep congestion, and I was really concerned about actually it turning into pneumonia, and that's what prompted me to bring her home. She was not okay out there at the colony, but she's still got this eye thing going on, and so just kind of clean up the eyes, just gently, just try to. There's a lot of I didn't really know she was going to be this friendly that I could get her out until yesterday. I mean, she wanted to come out, but a lot of kittens do. And let me see your eyes. Oh, they're still very red, huh? Yes. So this is the nice thing about using these old torn up t-shirts. They're nice and soft. And also I can just toss them and I don't have to worry about sanitizing and cleaning. Now these towels will all be bleached, and obviously I'm not going to wear these clothes in the house of any of my other cats until I get this girl well. And when she's well, we'll get her spayed. And I'm not sure if she's going to be a Cats by the Tracks kitty. If she gets adopted before then, that'll be fabulous. I hope she does. As you can see, she's absolutely adorable. She is such a sweet girl. And I don't know if, this is honestly making me think that maybe she came from a home situation. Maybe somebody's cats had kittens. They dumped her, and this happens a lot. As awful as this is, it happens a lot. I don't know if you can see this, but she has the cutest little tufts of fur on her ears, like little bobcat or lynx things. It's adorable, but it might be really hard to see. I was wearing a dark sweatshirt in a video I did on my personal Facebook page last night, a live stream, and you couldn't really see this kitten against it. So I thought I would wear something a lot more bright so you could see how cute she is. She's just gorgeous. Look at how friendly she is. What a sweetheart. To think I almost trapped, neutered, and returned her. Oh my goodness. That wouldn't have been good for a friendly little girl like you to live outside forever, huh? She's so sweet and so loving. Oh my goodness. I just would love, it's just, it's so, you just run into all these wonderful cats, and it just, you fall in love with them, and it's really hard. I honestly do not know how people who do fostering, how they say goodbye. I really don't. I have a very difficult time with it. I'm not a foster. In fact, I really don't get involved with rescue that much. I do help with the Cats by the Tracks live streams and videos, and take care of some of the cats at the condos at Petco in Los Banos. But other than that, I really am not involved in rescue. My thing is actually to help feral cats, and I like to make sure that the ferals are taken care of doing TNR, trap, neuter, return, because they don't have a choice. They don't have homes. They didn't choose to live outside. They don't choose to be out there in the winter and the cold. They don't choose to be hated by the neighbors because they're trying to find shelter in somebody's yard or under their car. those cats are really the victims of improper care by humans, whether they're generation or preceding generations. And I think that I started doing this about a little over a decade ago. I adopted a cat, our first cat that we had adopted as a pet. We had had dogs before that in our family. Not growing up. Growing up, I did have a cat, but as an adult, my husband and I had dogs. And I watched an Animal Planet on ragdoll kitties. This was quite a while ago. And I thought, I want a ragdoll. So I looked in Pet Finders, found a ragdoll at a rescue. Boy, jump through hoops. That was a great rescue, wonderful rescue. And it took me about 3 weeks, though, for them to approve me to adopt. And when we went down to adopt Trixie, she was absolutely wonderful. And it was really interesting when I went to the foster home to pick Trixie up and met the foster. And I couldn't believe that she had about 10 cats in her home at that time. She was fostering, of course, for the rescue, and it was clean, it didn't smell, it was very calm. And it was really the first time I'd been in a high, what I would consider a high quantity multi pet household, which of course this was a foster situation, so that's why there were so many. But I have been in homes where people had even maybe three or four pets, where sometimes they were quite obvious they had multiple pets, if you get my drift. And so I really realized that, wow, it is possible to live in a home without a situation like that. In fact, I had worked in real estate, and the first home I ever listed had been a multi pet household and literally destroyed. It was being redone. The floors, the walls were cut out and reinstalled, the drywall. That house still smelled. I told the person who was buying it, this house smells, you need to really deal. And needless to say, they still purchased it and they were not happy, but they were absolutely warned. Even though everything looked new, getting that smell out sometimes is really difficult. And so I discovered at that time, that was my first really intro into rescue in any way, shape, or form. And that it was absolutely, completely possible without disrupting your life, making your life all about animals, that you could live in a normal home and have multiple animals in there and it would be fine. So, anyway, Trixie had been in a colony. I knew nothing about trap, neuter, return. Found out that this was a way to help animals that were out there in the wild. All those cats that you see, the ones who are invisible when you're walking your dog, the ones you see them there, there's some kittens, they're cute, you're concerned about them, but you don't really pay that much attention, probably. I know I didn't. I was like everybody else, just, okay, wild kittens, wild cats, oh, they're getting in your yard, blah, 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 all that stuff, because we've all had those kinds of situations. And anyway, I really started noticing them, and I realized that somebody had saved my cat, and she was absolutely wonderful. She was part of our family, and they'd helped her. And really, these cats were no longer invisible to me. They were all individuals with lives, personalities, and they deserved to be looked after by humans. They're domestic, they're not wild animals. So that's when I found out about trap, neuter, return, um, how to do it rather. And it took a while. I was, of course, apprehensive about the concept of trapping an animal. That isn't my thing. It wasn't. I didn't know anything about it. And as time went on, next thing you know, there I am, trapping, neutering, and doing the whole nine yards. And I thought, if I could do this, anyone can, because I am not that person. If anybody who's known me for any length of time would tell you, I'm not that person. Absolutely not. And then I was. So I thought that people could really make a difference if everyone, not everyone, but even like one person on a block dealt with that stray cat that was in their yard and got it spayed or neutered, just trapped it. I mean, yeah, it's inconvenient for a few days, okay? I get it. It is like you have to actually do something for like maybe 3 days a week. But then you solve that problem in your neighborhood. And it might show up again a couple of years later, but to do that, if just one person on each block did that when the need arose, think about how different your neighborhood or your city would be in like 5 years. You know, where I live out here in Los Banos, we have tons of stray animals, not just cats either, a lot of dogs running the streets as well. In fact, people that come here from other areas sometimes are really, they're shocked, truthfully, at how many. But we don't have the resources that larger cities do. And a lot of people just have different attitudes towards animals on the street. So this is how we end up with situations like this, but it can be changed super easily. It just takes a little tiny bit of effort, learning, some knowledge, some effort, and this situation can be so much better. And little Blackie here is just a prime example. Little stray kitten running around. Now, I honestly believe if we had not intervened and I had not trapped her and brought her home, because she really wasn't responding as well to once a day medicine out there in the cold and the rain, I really think she would be probably very, very ill right now if not having succumbed to her illness by this point, because it has been over a week now and she was very sick. So she's doing great, as you can see. I'm just a little concerned. She's still sneezing a tad and her eyes are still a little mucky. So just got to get with that fixed. And I think I said this already, and I can't read anything. So if anybody is there, I don't even know if anyone's watching this because I can't see my screen. I just have the phone on a tripod because I realized it was impossible for me to deal with a kitty and hold a phone, and I don't have a setup for all of this. That's my live streams are so weak. I am so terrible at this stuff. But I just wanted for people to see what goes on behind the scenes in rescue and explain a little about where this kitten came from. So I decided to name this one Little Blackie because my cat growing up was named Blackie. She was all black like this. And we loved her very much, and she lived a very, very long time. This one is just purring and purring. She's so sweet. I just can't tell you how sweet she is. And now I'm going to do something that she's not going to like much. I'm going to put some termicin in her eyes. We want to get rid of that redness in the eyes. This is not going to be fun. Okay, but this is what goes on. This is the kind of stuff we do. Okay, just a little glob. I know, sweetie, this is icky. I don't want to get the tube touching her eye. Okay, there. Just got a little in that one. Oh, here, this stuff is coming out here. And there we go. Blink your eyes, sweetie. And I'm not going to be using this tube on anyone else. I generally, you know, it's kind of seems like a waste, but I don't know what she has and I don't want to contaminate the tube. So, yeah, it's some money down the drain, but I'm not a professional, and I'll alcohol that tube, the outside of it, when I bring it back in the house to store it. I'm not sure about the temperature on those, and so I think it's best to keep it at a sort of a neutral room temperature. And the medicine that was in here has to be refrigerated, and it's only good for 10 days. So we have a couple more days, one more day on it, and then I'm going to have to toss it. So, you know, obviously I do have access to some proper medical advice, but she's just a sweet, sweet girl. And I'm just doing the right things that need to be done, and it does get costly. Now, as for who pays for all this stuff behind the scenes, some rescues are huge. They have a lot of money, they have a lot of donors. Um, Probably if you are familiar and you receive a lot of emails from rescues and they have fancy websites, odds are pretty good if you're doing the foster care for one of their cats or dogs, that they're helping you out financially, especially with medical. They probably have a vet that they pay for, and that the medicine, possibly even other things, are being paid for by them. In a smaller rescue like Cats by the Tracks and some of the local ones in this area, we as fosters actually are pretty much responsible for most of the financial. All of this is stuff that I own. This cage I've had. Actually, this cage. This is really cool. The lady that taught me to trap, because like I said, I was very apprehensive about trapping cats initially, and it took me quite a while. And the woman at Cat House on the Kings, Linnea, she actually introduced me to a really nice woman who taught me how to trap. And that lady drove all the way from Lodi to bring my first two traps and this cage to me. I took her to my proposed colony where I was planning on trapping, and she showed me how she would deal with the situation. She showed me how to operate traps, and left me with this recovery cage and my first two traps. And yeah, so it's sort of sometimes that's what it takes, is somebody to teach you hands on. And I always remember that because I really couldn't have done it. I didn't think I could do it. And when I've met a number of people through the years who feel like they can't trap and there's no way they can do it. They're scared to deal with an animal in a trap. And I completely remember that feeling. And I will always, always help somebody learn how to trap because like I said, if I could do it, anyone can. I was the person who was really scared to do it. And just because I have done a lot of it now, it doesn't mean I don't remember because I do. So if somebody needs to learn, and I think this is something that a lot of people in rescue and trapping and this type of thing, that we kind of sometimes forget what it was like to be on the other side where you didn't do this, where you didn't know anything about it. And we have to remember what it was like to be in that place because it is overwhelming and scary and it's intimidating at the very least. It's intimidating. Dealing with a sick kitten's intimidating. Like if you had told I would never have believed you. If you had told me 15 years ago I would be in this garage with a sick kitten and this and there's zero way I would have said, yeah, right. Just absolutely not. And yet, here I am, and little Blackie will go to a home one day, and she's going to be their everything. Somebody is out there who this kitten is going to be their world, and they're going to be her world. And, it's that kind. And a lot of times we don't know where they go, like what happens to them, depending on what rescue they're in. We don't know who adopts them. We don't know what their lives are like, but every once in a while you do. Sometimes people will keep in touch with you regularly. Um, and there is absolutely nothing like receiving an email and some photos from someone who adopted a cat that you got off the streets. I think of this one in particular who was just a mess and all she wanted was a home. That cat was, oh my goodness, she was so loved and just beautiful. If you had seen her in the beginning, like I said, a mess. and and she was the owner's world. Unfortunately, she did pass away. There have been some really heartbreaking senior cat situations, and that's a whole nother beast. Oh my goodness, who ended up with their owners passed away, and multiple situations I've had to deal with like that are just heartbreaking. And yeah, people don't always do what you think they're going to do with your pets. So I don't know if you can see how sweet this girl is. She is absolutely loving. If this is somebody who you're interested in, calling her little Blackie, about 7 months old. She's not yet spayed, but she will not be adopted out until she is. Don't worry about that. Never, ever, ever give out animals that are not fixed. And if you're interested in her, contact Cats by the Tracks. Let them know that Kathy sent you and that you would be interested in maybe giving little Blackie a forever home. Or if you'd like to foster and you're in the Los Banos area, please contact Cats by the Tracks Rescue. We would love to have more fosters. Fostering can be as often or as infrequently as you'd like. We just really, really, really need to be able to get more cats into our system, but the fosters' homes are limited. It does entail making sure that you have some space indoors for the cat. We don't want cats in and out once they're in the foster system. They do need to be indoors only. And if you can't foster, think about volunteering in another aspect. We do need people to help take care of the cats at the condos. Once again, one shift a week. We do morning and evening shifts every day. If you're able to volunteer just an hour once a week, that would be a tremendous help. Um, there's just a lot of different avenues to volunteer and rescue. So please, if you're interested in any of that, contact Cats by the Tracks Rescue. This is in Los Banos. Cats by the Tracks is out of Fresno, but we do have a Los Banos group here, and we do put our cats in the Los Banos Petco. So that would be what you've seen on our previous videos. Those are all kitties at the Los Banos Petco. I just really wanted to share a little behind the scenes and show you what goes on before. And this is actually, I do not usually, most of the cats in the condos and the rescue are not really from me. They're from real foster homes. I'm just somebody that actually works with the cats on the streets, and sometimes I do get involved in and I help with Cats by the Tracks, obviously, and I do get involved in the rescue aspect occasionally. And I just wanted you guys to see how a sick kitten is taken care of at my house. Okay, other people have rooms and quarantine spaces. My quarantine, unfortunately, is the garage. But you're warm and cuddly and you have your nice bed, huh? Yes. And we're going to give you your wet food in a minute. And I'm going to take these gloves off and put you in your cage. Yes, and you can go back to your cuddly bed. Yeah, we cleaned her litter box before her live stream. And I'm going to give her some wet food and feed my cats and take off these gloves. Yes. So I'm just going to say over and out from Cats by the Tracks. If anybody's watching, thank you for tuning in. And I hope that something I said maybe was of help. If you have questions, you can post comments after the live stream and hopefully I'll be able to answer them. Have an awesome day. And as 2024 comes to an end, I wish you all a very blessed and happy 2025. And make a difference in the world. Add your light to the sum of light. Over and out from Cats by the Tracks Rescue, the Los Banos Gang, and Little Blackie. Let's go and turn this off, Little Blackie. I know.